Hello, welcome to the Knitting with Cat Hair podcast. My name is Nikki. I am also known as Knitting with Cat Hair on Instagram and Cat Hair Knitting on Ravelry. I am coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, which lies atop the traditional lands of the Tagamashing and Anishinaabe people, where I live with my partner, our 2 daughters, and our 5 cats. Hence the name of the podcast, as I'm always finding cat hair in my knitting. So a big warm welcome to all new viewers and a big welcome back to all returning viewers. This is my mostly knitting podcast. However, sometimes I talk about some of the other crafts that I'm delving into, such as cross stitch, crochet, spinning, and sometimes sewing. So let's just jump right in. I have one admin thing up front. So last episode I announced the start of a new Knitalong. It's going to be a Jennifer Beale Knitalong. It started October 1st and will run until September 30th of next year. So there's plenty of time to jump right on in. So all you have to do is make a Jennifer Beale pattern and post it on Instagram using the hashtag bealealong. I'll put it here. And I'll be drawing 2 prizes from that hashtag. So we've already had some starts, which is so exciting, and I've already swatched for mine, and I'll show you that later in the works in progress segment. But first off, I'd like to start with what I'm wearing, because I am finally wearing my finished Samphrey, which is a pattern by Marie Wallin. So the pattern is found in this book, Shetland, but I believe you can purchase it individually as well, I believe. Either on Ravelry or through Marie Wallin's website, perhaps. So yes, this has been a long-term project. It's been on my needles. I think I started it July of last year. So it's well over a year and a half, perhaps. So I knitted up out of all of the called for colors of Jamieson's Shetland Spindrift, 14 different colors. And I will say that there were lots of float catching involved in this. That means that you were going for more than 5 stitches in a segment before changing colors. So there was lots of float catching. I did quite a few modifications. I know I've talked about this throughout the episodes, but I'll just give you a quick rundown of what I did when I made this pattern. So first off, I knew that I'm not a huge fan of knitting color work flat, and it's not the purling. It's not really the purling color work that bothers me the most. It's the seaming afterwards that bothers me because I just find it so messy. Maybe I'm just not good at it. I haven't done it enough times to get good at it. So I did decide that I was going to try to knit this thing instead of flat as the pattern called for. I was going to try and knit it in the round as much as I possibly could. So it's knit bottom up. So you start with this. I'll just stand up so you can see here. You start with this, I think it's like 10 centimeters of ribbing, striped ribbing. And then what I did afterwards was I had read that there was a lot of blousing that happened after the ribbing. So like projects were showing like big bulging over top of the ribbing like this. And I didn't like that look. So what I did to kind of combat that was I went down needle sizes. I went down after the ribbing. I think I did the ribbing on a US 2.25. No, sorry, 2.75. And then I went down to a US 1.5 right after the ribbing. And I think I knit for 4 centimeters or something. It's in my project notes on Ravelry if you're curious. But I just gradually increased needle sizes until I got up to a US 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter, and that's what I used to knit the rest of the body. So that reduced the blousing that was occurring here. Okay, so that was one modification that I made. And then, so like I said, I was knitting it in the round. And then at the point where I had to, I would be inserting my sleeves, like the sleeve holes, I stopped knitting in the round. And then I switched to knitting flat, and the front and back separate. And that was so that I could do the shaping as per the pattern without doing any steek stitches, because I still have not steeked a garment. So that's what I did in terms of knitting the body. And then for the sleeves, I explained this last time, it's a little bit complicated when you convert, when you're not following the pattern, especially with Marie Wallin's schematics, because she doesn't give you a lot of details in terms of measurements. So she doesn't, like, you're supposed to knit the sleeves flat, and she doesn't give you the width at the top of the sleeve. Like, she'll give you the length, like how long the sleeve should be, which, I mean, I guess that is helpful, but it depends on your arm length too, right? Like, that's not necessarily going to be the case. I know I had to knit mine quite a bit shorter than what she recommended. So anyway, she doesn't give you the width. So I didn't know how, because it's drop shoulder, I didn't know how wide this hole needed to be in the body, if you can see here. And I think after knitting the sleeves and measuring my gauge and everything, I figured out, I think it was like a 7 inches or so, but I think that might have been a little too small. It was probably should have been like 7.5. I don't know if you can see, it's a little bumpy. It's not terrible. Like, I can live with it. And if you look at Marie Wallin's pattern pictures, you can see that it is kind of bumpy on the model too. So we're not perfect. Did my best. So yeah, and I did knit the sleeves flat. In retrospect, I wish I would have I just wish I would have knit them in the round. That would have just saved me the trouble of having to seam. Although that part wasn't so bad. I don't know if you can see my seam. I should say I didn't wash and block this yet either, so it might even look better afterwards, but yeah, my seam's not super noticeable. I used mattress stitch to seam everything. I've tried backstitch on my last Marie Wallin project and I didn't care for it. Maybe I just wasn't as good at it, so I stick with the mattress stitch. Okay, so what else did I do? For the collar, I picked up the same number of stitches that were recommended in the pattern. The only difference I made was I kept the collar a solid color instead of doing, I think you were supposed to do like a sequence of stripes, like here, but not as thick, obviously, maybe like this much. And for some reason, I just didn't like the look of it. I just wanted a solid color. So I chose probably my favorite color out of the group and put that one at the top. And I think that is it for the modifications. I'm really happy with it. I will say the sleeves are a little snug, and I don't know if that's just because I've gained a little bit of weight over the past year since I started making this, or if it's just, I mean, it's meant to be a fitted sweater, so it could just be, you know, that case, but it's not uncomfortable, and I can absolutely wear it, and I love it. I just love the colors in it. I'm going to pop in a video so you can see the full extent of the sweater and how I'm styling it today. So that is my Samphrey, and I'm so happy to have it off the needles and to finally be able to wear it. I will say I'm suffering from feral withdrawal, I think now. I really miss knitting color work and like all over color work. Like, I want extensive color work, so I might have to have a look and see which pattern I might make next. Okay, so that is it for my one and only finished object for today. Now we will move into works in progress. I shall start with my Cotswold Henley. This is a pattern that I'm knitting for my partner. The pattern is by Meghan Babin. I'll put in a picture of what the finished sweater looks like. I was actually hoping to have this one done too, but a bit of another setback on this one. So anyways, last time I showed it, I had just started the sleeve, and now I've finished the first sleeve. And I did actually pick up the stitches and knit about a third of the second sleeve. And then I realized that it looked bizarre. So you can see on this side where I've picked up the stitches and started knitting, it looks really seamless. Like I think, I mean, you can see that there's a bit of a seam there, but it's nice. It looks fine. The other one, for whatever reason, I have a suspicion it was the way that I was doing I think I was doing German short rows, and the pattern calls for wrap and turn. And so now I'm wondering if I did wrap and turns originally, even though in my notes I wrote I did German short rows. So anyways, it looked weird. So I ripped it all back, and I have to redo. So I will do that. And then I just have to do the collar, and then I'm done. This sucker's done. And I had my partner try it on. So I started this well over a year ago as well. And we both put on a little bit of weight in the last year or so. And it's a little snug on him. Thankfully, like the patterning is very stretchy. So I think once I wash and block it, it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. But yeah, it's a nice looking pattern. I'm not sure that I'm really enjoying it as much as I was at the beginning. I just kind of want to get this one done now. That's because I have others I want to cast on, I think. But it's got these two different stitch patterns. I've shown this numerous times, but there's kind of like this, is it a rib? The Henley rib. And then there's this garter basket weave over like the main part of the body. So it looks kind of interesting. It does bring a bit of interest to the knitting. It's better than just knitting stockinette, but sometimes knitting just stockinette is kind of nice because you can sit in front of the TV or, you know, watch a podcast and just mindlessly knit. In this one, you kind of have to pay attention because the patterns are constantly changing. And because the patterns don't align, one is an 8-stitch pattern, the other is a 4-stitch pattern, 8-row pattern, and the other is a 4-row pattern. So you have to be mindful of what you're doing, basically. So anyways, hopefully I'll have this done by the next time, and it'll be in time for my partner to be able to wear it. And I'm knitting this up out of Cascade 220 Heathers, which is a non-superwash woolly wool, although it's very soft, I would say. It's very soft. It's 100%, I think it might be Peruvian wool. It's really nice. I'm enjoying it. And the color, I try every time, but the color just doesn't show up as beautiful as it is in person. It's this dark green with a lot of like yellowy green in it. It's heathered. It's a true heathered yarn, and it's really pretty. And I'm knitting the size, I think, 47-inch chest circumference. I think that's what I'm making. Okay. So that's that. Next up, I had shown that I had started a April cardigan last episode, and I'm knitting this up out of 10 different colors of Sonder Sunday Morning DK, which is a lovely combination of 75% Blue Face Leicester and 25% Masham. It's really lovely, so bouncy and soft, and it's a non-superwash wool, and it is, yes, it's glorious. Really love it. So here's what I have. Yes, it's lots of different colors because, as I explained, I'm making a blanket out of the yarns that I purchased. So I only had like one skein of each color, and I thought, why just make a blanket? Like, it's such beautiful yarn. I should make something with it first and then use the leftovers to make the blanket. So I chose a stripy sweater. So the April cardigan by Petiteknit is not originally striped. It's just one solid color. So I've modified it to do 10 colors, 6 rows for each stripe. And I just chose a bunch of colors that I really enjoyed. So I finished the body, and then I did start to put the ribbing on. So I think I explained this last time as well, but I was going to use, do I have it with me? Oh, I didn't bring it. A dark brown. I really wanted dark brown around the bottom and around the button band and the collar. And so I had this Georgian Bay Fiber Co. 100% BFL non-superwash dark brown that I was going to use. And now this is a DK weight, and the Georgian Bay Fiber Co. I think it's a fingering weight, but I want to say it's more like might be more of a sport weight. I don't know. It feels like it's like a heavy fingering. So I tried doubling it, and that was too thick. And then I tried using it single, and it was too thin. Like, it was really noticeable. So I've ixnayed that idea, and I've since placed an order for, and this is a yarn I haven't tried before, Cascade BFL. It's 100% BFL in a DK weight. And they had this beautiful dark brown that would be perfect, I think. So I placed an order for that, and as soon as that comes, then I will add the ribbing to the bottom. And in the meantime, I have picked up and started one of the sleeves. So this is going to it's going to have long sleeves, and the intent with this was to make more of a cropped sweater or cardigan with long sleeves that I could wear over top of my linen dresses so that I could wear them in the winter. And so, yeah, I won't go through all the different colors because there's so many, but they are all on my project page over on Ravelry. I should say that anything that I talk about, I will put links down below to project pages, patterns, any makers that I mention, podcasts, anything that I mention will be in the links down below in the description. And I am not sponsored by anybody or anything. I just talk about what I love on this podcast. Okay, so that is the update on my April cardigan. It's going so fast. Stripes are so addictive. They're so potato chippy. You just want more and more and more of them. So it goes really fast. I anticipate that won't take me much longer to get finished. So I've been trying to be good and not cast on new things until I finish other things. So I said once I finished my Samphrey, then that would give me the okay to cast on for my Jennifer Beale pattern, which I have not cast on for it, but I did allow myself to do I gave myself permission to do a test, a gauge swatch. And I haven't even washed it yet. But I did do it. So I am making my plan. This is subject to change too, because I'm really craving color work. So this is subject to change, but for now, I think I might be making the Stephenville crossing. I've purchased the pattern and I've now done a swatch. So I'll pop in a picture of what the finished garment looks like. It's really beautiful. It's nice and flowy. It's more of a summer garment, I would say. It's got lace in it and cables texture, and it's drapey, and it just looks like it'd be really, really comfortable to just throw on with a pair of jeans. So I have cast on in this yarn that I had purchased a sweater's quantity of it quite a few years ago now, I guess, maybe 2 to 3 years ago. This is Lichen and Lace. Lichen and Lace sock in the linen colorway. So it's a 75% merino, 25% nylon. And it's a beautiful color. It's got some darker bits in it and stuff, so I'm gonna definitely alternate. And yeah, I think I determined yesterday. I determined last episode that it's a 3-ply, and so the cables should show up really nicely. Okay, so this was my swatch. which way is it? Go this way. So we have a little bit of cabling on the one side. Actually, I think it's supposed to go this way, but it doesn't matter. And then some lace. And like I mentioned, I haven't washed and blocked it yet. So I did knit it in the round. So for any, newer knitters that aren't aware, when a pattern asks you to do a swatch in the round, that matters. Don't do it flat, don't cheat. But one of the things you can do instead of knitting fully in the round is to just carry the yarn at the back and just slide your stitches over on a circular needle and start again. And it still kind of creates that same in the round feeling. Just don't pull your yarns too tight at the back. Like you want to leave, actually these ones are a little tight. These are nice and loose, but because otherwise it'll distort when you go to measure your gauge. So yes, I just have to wash, block, and measure, and then I'll know which needle size. But looking at this, I already like the fabric that it's created, and I used the recommended needles to knit this swatch, and I think that was, it's a US 5. You'll have to forgive me, I didn't write it down, so I don't know what that is in millimeters. No, I don't know, sorry. But yeah, it's kind of, and it's a fingering weight yarn, but that's kind of a looser knit, and it's housed in this lovely little bag that I made out of crocheted granny squares. I followed a pattern. It was a free pattern on on Ravelry, I think. Might be on Ravelry, might have linked to a blog, one of those. I'll put a link down below. Yeah, so you just basically you crochet up 13 granny squares, and then you seam them together in a certain way and add some straps, and there you go. And it turned out, I mentioned this when I first made it, but it turned out a lot smaller than I was envisioning. I think the picture didn't have any scale related to it, so I don't know why I thought it'd be much bigger, but I mean, you could just add more squares. Okay, and the reason I'm showing you this bag, well, partly to show off, but partly because it relates to the next project and the final project that I'm going to show you for today. So a little while ago in the summer, my daughter had asked me to make her a cardigan, a granny square cardigan. I'll pop in a picture of the design that we were basing it off of. And I followed a tutorial on YouTube. So my daughter chose the colors, and I set to making this cardigan. So I had already prepared, I think maybe, did I mention this on? I can't remember if I even mentioned it, but I had finished making all of the squares for the cardigan, and then I just needed to seam it up. And so I started doing that, and then, okay, well, I'll show you what I have. Don't mind the strings, they're still, I haven't woven in the strings, but so this is the cardigan. So I finished a sleeve. Did I finish it? Oh, I didn't seam the bottom yet. So I put the sleeve on. That was the first sleeve. I've left the second sleeve off, but yes, it's a cardigan. And then I was gonna knit, actually, this is crocheted, but I was gonna knit some ribbing along the edges for the button band. I don't think she wanted buttons. I was just gonna leave it blank. It doesn't even matter because it's not happening anymore anyways. So I got the one sleeve on, and I went, wow, like this is heavy. And my daughter's 13. She'll be 14 soon, but she's little, like she's petite. And I just thought I better let her try this on first and see if she'll even wear it before I put the second sleeve on, because that's a whole nother, the sleeves are 2, 4, 6, 8 squares alone. Is that right? No, 12. 3, 6, 12 squares. So it's a significant amount more. So yeah, I let her try it on, and she was like, it's really heavy. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought too. So I said, that's okay, no problem. I had told her. that if she didn't like it for whatever reason, I would take the squares and make it into bags. So I have enough to make some more crocheted bags. So maybe I'll make some larger ones too this time. And I might make a few littler ones for gifts and stuff. That might be nice for gift bags for Christmas or something. I know they're not Christmassy looking, but I don't know, it's something that you can reuse. And they're made with love. So anyways, that's the update on the cardigan. Yeah, cotton is so heavy. That's the thing with it, right? But that's okay. Like I said, I had a backup plan for this. So my daughter is very, like, she never asks for anything. She doesn't want me to make her anything. And mostly it's because she doesn't want to hurt my feelings if she doesn't end up liking it in the end, because she's quite picky. And I try to make her happy. So anyways, it is what it is, and that's it. Okay, so that's it. Today it's a short one. That's it for all the making, but I did have one more thing I wanted to mention, if I can find it. Yes. Okay. So when I was preparing to knit my swatch for my Stephenville crossing by Jennifer Beale, I thought it'd be really cool to have like speckles in this yarn, because the original has all these lovely speckles in it. And I wanted to use stash yarn. I didn't want to have to buy new yarn. But at the same time, I was like, oh, I want something a little bit more interesting. I wonder if there's a way I can add my own speckles. So I'm not a yarn dyer. I have tried solar natural dyeing 2 years in a row now. So I started last summer and I did some this summer with mixed successes, I would say. So I did a bit of Googling and I'm like, is this even a thing? And then where did I see? I can't remember now in my searches. I think what I saw, this is what I saw. I saw that you can make concentrated dyes from natural materials. So let's say if you and I don't know the ratios, you'd have to follow it. But basically if you took onion skins, let's say, and you boiled them down with just a little bit of water so that the color was very, very concentrated, and then you could potentially put that into like a little squirt bottle and like squirt it around on things and use that to dye stuff. So I was like, I don't want to do that. That's too much work at this point. I just don't feel like that. So I was like, what if I just took onion skins, which can give you a really beautiful rust color. And that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted rust colored speckles in my yarn. I was like, what if I take onion skins and like sprinkle it around and on my yarn and see if I can get that way. So I took a bunch of onion skins. I filled up my coffee grinder, my coffee bean grinder, basically to the max, and ground the crap out of the skins until they were just little tiny flecks. And then I took a skein of, I didn't want to try it on my the yarn I was going to be using for my garment, just in case it didn't work out. So I actually tried it on some undyed superwash 2-ply, I think it is, yarn that I purchased in bulk when I started doing natural dyeing. Just nothing expensive. It's just something to try on. So I tried it on that. I soaked the yarn first, make it nice and wet, and then I laid it in a casserole dish. I think it had a little bit of water in the bottom, just a little bit of water, just to keep it moist in there. And then I sprinkled all of the onion skin bits all over the yarn, and I even spread it out, tried to get in between the yarn strands and everything. And then I microwaved it for, I think I did it, oh my gosh, I can't remember the times. I wrote it down. I think it was 5 minutes at first, and then I looked at it and I could see some color coming off of the onion skins. I flipped it around moved it, and that's probably part of my problem here. So I moved it around, I put it in for another 5 minutes, and then I was like, yeah, there's some color, definitely color. So I took it out, rinsed it, which was a huge pain in the ass because all those little bits of onion skins were just stuck to this yarn. They didn't want to come out. But luckily the weather is still was relatively warm. We had a little warm spell. And so I hung it outside to dry, and then as soon as it dried, I could just shake it and all the little bits fell right off. So that's the trick if you're going to try this, although I don't know if I recommend trying it. So then the end result is this. Yeah, it didn't really work. So what happened is there's definitely some little spots of orange, but I think because I moved it around, it spread the color around instead of concentrating it in like little spots. So it just turned all of the yarn turned this kind of really pale orange. And then there are like just tiny little speckles here and there, but they're not anything that I would be like thrilled about. In fact, they're not really, actually, yeah, there's a few little speckles, but most of them are big blobs of color, which is not what I was going for. So I think another option would have been when I was looking at stuff, there was the one that told me, like, that advised microwaving or whatever. So I think they said to wrap it in or saran wrap to kind of hold all the speckles in place, and then that way you don't get the color kind of bleeding or shifting, and it stays in the one spot, I think. Anyways, so that's something that, I might try at a future time, but yeah, I'm not that desperate to try it. I just don't know that it's going to produce the results I want, but I mean, it was fun. It was a fun experiment nonetheless. And okay, that is officially it for all the making talk. And now I will announce the winners of last podcast's Spread the Love segment, where I asked if you would kindly tell me which Jennifer Beale pattern you would be interested in making for the chance to win a free pattern. So I've gone ahead and drawn 2 names, and I will put them in here. So congratulations to both of you, and I will, actually, if you can get in touch with me and let me know, I guess the best way would probably be over on Ravelry. So my Ravelry username again is cathairknitting, all one word. And if you want to just let me know which pattern of Jennifer Beale's you would like me to gift you, that would be wonderful. And so thank you so much for everyone who entered, and yeah, I hope that you guys are interested in joining the make along or the Cal. It's going to be so much fun. And yeah, so many people said they had never heard of Jennifer Beale, and that was exactly my goal. That was my goal. I wanted to bring a little more awareness to her because I think she's a phenomenal Canadian designer, and I'm very excited to knit my first pattern by her. So there's that. And then I also wanted to say a great big thank you to Yana of Finished Knitting Stories, who spread some love my way totally unexpectedly, and she just said really sweet, kind words about my podcast on hers a few episodes ago, and I think I've had quite a few new subscribers since then, probably because of that. So thank you. And I love that. I love that, the knitting community is so, we try to like lift each other up and like spread the love as much as we can. And I think it's such a wonderful thing. So it was really, really, really nice. And with that, I'm like totally failing because I didn't prepare to mention 2 podcasts this episode. I'm trying to think. I try to mention, for those who don't know, when I do my Spread the Love, I do try to mention smaller podcasts that have maybe less than 5,000 subscribers that you might not have heard of, to try and just bring attention to them and send them some love. So yeah, anyways, I will prepare for next time. I'll have a few for sure. So other than that, I guess onto life stuff. Trying to think. We haven't done much. We were supposed to go away. Last weekend was Canadian Thanksgiving, and we were supposed to go visit my mom and my stepdad at Birch Lake, and one of our kiddos came down with a virus, and so we couldn't go. She couldn't travel, and we wouldn't have gone anyways because we don't want to pass it along to my mom and my stepdad. We don't want to get them sick. So luckily she's fine now. Like she bounced back pretty quickly. She rested a lot. And yeah, so she's doing a lot better now. So that's good. And we didn't catch it, which is shocking. I thought for sure, all 4 of us were going to end up ill, but luckily we didn't. So so that kiboshed our plans. We ended up, instead of having a wonderful turkey dinner, we ended up having chicken noodle soup from a can. I was like totally not prepared for being home on the weekend, so we didn't have anything out. Like everything was still frozen, and I just wasn't prepared. So it was it wasn't the most exciting Thanksgiving. I think we did end up getting takeout one night. So anyways, it was a very quiet weekend. And I didn't feel great. I didn't have the virus or whatever, but my sinus problems are back in full swing. Today is another case of it. I thought I wasn't even going to record today because I was feeling so ill. But it seems like once I start moving and get going, I feel a lot better. So I just have to remind myself. It's hard to do that when you feel like crap and you just want to lay down. But sometimes when you get moving, you feel better. So anyways, I think that's it. The last thing, oh shoot, I should have said this earlier. The last thing I wanted to say was thank you so much to everyone who reached out in the comments on the last episode and just sent their love and well wishes for the difficult time that we've been going through. I can't even tell. It made me cry. I'm not going to talk about it because it's going to make me cry again. I'm a very emotional person, but I just want to say thank you so much. The generosity and the kindness in this community is it's astounding, and I'm so thankful. So thank you so much. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful next 3 weeks and that it's filled with lots and lots and lots of making. Bye. Happy making.